Hello and welcome to GTI Spindle Technology. My name is Tom Honig. I'm going to be doing a tutorial here of the proper use of our vibration analyzer on the iPad platform, and the name of the app that we'll be reviewing today is called Spindle Scope. I'll be going through the proper usage and the proper settings that are needed to do vibration analysis with the iPad. And immediately I'd like you to look on your screen and see that I've got the iPad up and on the screen so that we can view together what we're looking at. And as I open it, you'll see in the lower right hand corner where I have my mouse right now, I show the Spindle Scope app, and we simply have to tab onto that to open up the application. Now with the application open, you'll notice where I have my mouse here, you can see external accelerometer. A lot of times if I unplug our hardware and you forget to plug in our hardware into the dock port, it automatically reverts the app to internal accelerometer. This is the most common mistake. Even if I plug it back in, it doesn't automatically go to external. It's a matter of going to the settings to switch this back. If you were to take a reading right now in internal accelerometer, you'll see it reverts immediately to the 3 X, Y, and Z accelerometers in the unit, which is not to the resolution nor the accuracy to take a proper vibration reading. The external hardware that we provide and the accelerometer is for precision vibration analysis. So if it is stuck on the internal version and you take a reading, if your iPad itself isn't attached to the piece of equipment you're measuring, you're not going to get a reading, or if it is on the equipment where it can feel it vibrating through the table, you're not going to get an accurate reading. So simply, where I have my mouse here, you have a settings icon. Tap on that and immediately you're going to get a drop down, and the very first drop down is sensor options. If you click on that, you'll notice you'll immediately have an internal external button. Simply tap the external button and a drop down below that comes up where you can select measuring in G's for acceleration, or inches per second, or millimeters per second for velocity. For this test, we will leave it on inches per second so that you can see everything working. Now you notice in the left hand corner we now state, and it reads external accelerometer with a pause button, meaning right now the accelerometer is paused. So once we click off of this tab and go back to the main screen, we're ready to take a vibration analysis. I have a small shaker hooked up to the end of my accelerometer, so I'll turn that on, and I'm simply going to press the play button, and that immediately starts taking a reading. And you can see our spectrum goes all the way out to 1.2 million CPM. And in normal analyzers, you'd have to pick the domain and look right where you see that spike in the left hand corner that's tucked all the way there. Well, with the iPad analyzer, you can simply pinch out like a picture, and I'm pinching on the screen, and then I can move the screen over to the readings that I want to see. This makes it a much more simpler way to take a reading. And this blue line here that I'm rubbing my finger back and forth on is our cursor. So I can put my cursor right on that spike where the shaker is vibrating, and then I can press the pause button. This locks my reading in. And now I can still move my cursor around, and if you see in the top left hand corner, that spike is exactly at 9,540 CPM, and it's at 0.3632 inches per second is the value. And again, this is a shaker. We don't see a variety of different frequencies here, but you can see how quickly and easy it is to take a reading on this device. Now, going through the settings, this other settings pane here where you see the little graph tool, if I tap on that, I can change from lin to log on different, which are all preferences. I can leave an auto scale, and I can also add, as you see here, harmonic cursors. If I want to add harmonic cursors to find multiples of running speed, I can do just that, and it does all the math for me. It does exactly a multiple of wherever I put that first cursor. I can also put peak track on, which will track immediately to the top, to the very largest spike on the screen, much like peak track implies in its name. It tracks to the largest peak. Now you'll notice also here I can go to Hertz and CPM as well with a toggle of a switch, and you'll now see at the top of the screen below where we have external accelerometer, I now show my cursor at 159 Hertz at the same value we saw before rather than the CPM value we saw earlier. And of course I can toggle that back and forth. And there's another nice feature on the very bottom here where we can toggle back and forth from white to blue background on the scale. And this allows us for when we're printing and emailing documents back and forth and we have to print things out, we're not using an abundance of ink from our printers and so forth, even though the blue background looks a little prettier. Now we're going to go to the other settings panel, which is here where the gear option is. And if you can remember where we left, we were in sensor option, so I'm going to back from there. And there's a few more fields to go into. One is our exported data field, which this allows us to wirelessly connect to any PC and or Mac in the area and wirelessly transfer our data that we've saved from the device and the app to a PC or a Mac. The next one down is where we have saved all of our exported data, whether it is CSV file or PDFs. And you can see I've got a variety of different saved images here. And if I tap on one, I can actually look at a previously taken reading that I took at a different point in time, you know, weeks ago or months ago in this case. And there it is. And I can flash out of that just simply by clicking done. And that's our captured data. And below that, I can prevent the screen from locking automatically on me, so when I'm taking long readings or a series of readings, I don't have my screen locking out on me. Below that, you'll see Spectrum Analyzer. This is where we get into the spectrum options. And spectrum options include frequency resolution, which we can set to the best, which is 1 Hertz, 60 CPM. It also opens our data window, so if we want flat top or we run in the handing window here, we can run in the handing window. Below that, we have our averaging setting. You can run exponentially, so you're constantly taking readings, or you can run like another analyzer where you go to peak and it'll take a small sample and freeze it on the screen. And that covers our settings options. Now again, taking a reading is as simple as pressing play on the top of the screen here. When I press play, it's actually taking a reading. Right now the shaker is off, so you see it dives right down into the much lower range. I'll turn that shaker back on, and again you'll see the spike come up at the frequency that the shaker is vibrating at, and you can see I get a multiple here 2 spaces over that shows a little bit of looseness in my shaker the way I'm holding it. So that is a multiple of running speed. Now I simply hit this pause button up top, and now I froze my reading. And now's when we're going to go over to the final icon here, which is our action icon. And this is our save data icon. We can save to a text file or a CSV file where that data can be saved and imported into Excel or any other vibration analysis software you might already have, so you can do your own graphs. The 2 below it, you can save the graph to a PDF, which saves it within the app, and it also can be exported to other apps within the device, or it can be exported to a PC and or emailed, or in my case, I'm going to show in just a few moments, it can be sent right to Dropbox so that you can create a route in the Dropbox account so that you have all your machines and data points listed, and you can simply, as you're taking them on the floor, just simply send them up to Dropbox wirelessly so that all the data is going in and there's no need to hook to a PC afterwards. And then finally we have save graph to photos, and that just simply saves the graph to the photo album. And I'd like to key on both PDF and photos have the same function. When I tab on that, immediately a pop-up screen comes up for my notes. I can identify the machine by serial number or the point number, and then when I hit save, it will pop up a small pop-up menu to say, yes, the analyzer image has been saved to my photo album, and I know that it's been saved properly and safely. So, going back to this settings pane again, If we go to our PDFs and we open one up, I'm just going to pick one randomly, maybe one of the last ones I took, and you'll see it will open up that reading. And once that reading is open, if I tap on it, I'm going to see that action icon again. And if I tap on that, I can open in Dropbox, I can open in another series, I can put this reading into iBooks, many different things I can do with it. I can put it into another app and write on it, or you know, paste pictures on it. There's all kinds of different places we can go with it. But just quickly, let's pick Dropbox. And immediately flips into Dropbox and allows me to pick whatever file I want, or I can create my own folder and name it whatever I want. In this case, let's just name it Machine 1. Create that folder. And once I've created that folder, I can now tap that folder and upload that image right into it. And now my image has been saved to Dropbox. I can move to my next reading. It is that simple. Now again, I can flash quickly back to the Spindlescope app. It's that quickly on the iOS. And there are the different frequencies of the reading I took. And now I can click Done, and I'm back into the app looking at my existing reading that I took on the shaker. Now, a few more other things I want to point out. What is this data on the bottom here? The first line, which is input 1, which means I'm on channel 1, is the overall value in inches per second of what I measured. So it takes all the data that I've taken all the way out to 1.2 million CPM and gives me an overall value. Now all the values below that are numbered 1 through 10 are all values of the frequencies from the very highest peak here, which is 9,540, which we've indicated up top here with our cursor to be the exact largest peak on the screen. And then it picks the second largest, the third largest, the fourth largest, and so on, all the way down to the 10th largest. And what this helps you do is know what the top peaks on the screen are, so that you can find out what everything is relative to and be able to find out what the largest amplitude is of what you're measuring. Now this concludes the tutorial. I hope this helps people that are starting to use this for the very first time.